All right, we'll get started. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our another session of our CEJA reporting system office hours. So today we'll go over some updates and have Q&A and go over program completion and transition outcomes section there, but there were a few things I wanted to note first. The first was, I know last week we were looking at reports and talking about cohorts and how I was incorrect in saying that navigators aren't able to see cohorts and capacity. But excuse me, that's not the case. I was just looking at the project work plan reports, which you're only going to see, those who you have access to. But in the reports section, if we go to cohort reports, we'll be able to filter, as a navigator, you can filter to these different, the different programs here and see, we got a lot of test data in here. Some other numbers here. So you'll be able to see, the grantee names, their cohort, what type of training it is, the date range for the cohort, and the number for capacity and actual customers there. So I just wanted to clear that up at the top of the call here. And let's see. And then I wanted to know some updates that we have going out. Sorry. Some updates that are going out next week here, or sorry, next Thursday that we've been working on. Let's see. Get these updates lined up here. Okay. So we did do a couple hot fixes in over the last several days. Let's see here. One of them, one of them was we did get the hot fix out so that if you're a grantee who has sub-grantees, when you're updating a customer service, you'll be able to see the available cohorts that have been added at the sub-grantee level. And before it was just whatever cohorts were in the work plan that customer was tied to is all you're going to see. And so in this case, we have, where I'm logged in as a Climate Works grantee, and I can see my cohorts and the cohorts for the sub-grantee that I have as well. So those are selectable options there. And we did have something even more recent where if you click the add cohort button, nothing was happening, but that we did get an update out for that. And that's been, should be all set over there. There was also these next two, they're not hot fixes, but they are going to be released next week, is for the follow-up services service, there was an error message that was popping up that didn't quite make sense if you selected the status for offered but declined. We'll get to in a second here. If that was selected, then the system would prompt a note that you needed to leave a case note, but you couldn't save if you selected this option. So what we'll see is, we'll have a prompt here when that's updated. Just like the following services. Select the reason for follow-up services being declined, unable to locate, or opting out, and you can answer the questions there. And when you do, it'll save here, but in order for this offered but declined status to be retained, you'll also need to leave a case note and update it that way. So once we do this and it refreshes, we should see the status is retained. I wonder if they're pushing an update out. Yes. Okay. But that is an update that we're going to have. And then another update that's been mentioned is in the plan versus actual report for, let's see, climate works. Let me filter to there. Is we had in the, let's see, I want to make sure I'm looking at the right row here. Under transition outcomes, the rows for job placements for primary and secondary outcomes is showing 0. We do have this fixed in test. It's not in this UAT environment that I have pulled up, but that is an update that is coming out soon. And I think those are the updates that I wanted to go over. And then yeah, there's I wanted to turn it over to Natasha to go over some mock-ups we have for wanting to get your feedback on when it comes to pre-screening.
Thank you. Just waiting. My computer's kind of, my Teams is holding me up here. Hold on. All right. David, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Natasha.
Okay, hold on. It's my Teams is there we go. Looks like it's starting to come up here. All right. It's letting me do something. All right. So we've been working with and talking with different grantees and trying to like take in all the information and think of ways that we can help with moving forward with the navigators and with helping people, direct people to the right locations and that sort of thing, and helping with those workflows. So one of the areas that we're working on is, I know in some areas, gators that will work with the customers and complete, the pre-screening, the application, and the different assessments. And so we have basically like a little trigger that says, hey, this person is, we're finished with the pre-screening and the different assessments, and they're ready for you, like a person at the hub. So just let you know that that part is part of the sprint. That's also part of the notifications piece that we talked about at one of the office hours to get your feedback on. So just want to give you an update that that development is underway at this moment. But one of the next areas that we want to improve upon is the pre-screening. And so, you know, with the pre-screening, you complete all the questions up at the top, and what we should see on your screen right now is a mock-up. And, you know, as a result of completing those questions at the top, it says that yes, you are, um, you know, these are the areas that make you eligible. And, you know, these are the areas, I just got the screenshot before it had the answers here, but either like no, or prefer not to answer, or yes, you know, all these different items would make you eligible for the different programs. And so the original intent was to be able to show you, you know, that you're eligible, you know, you're interested in the clean energy, or you're interested in apprenticeship, and, you know, like we could show you something that was locally available. And so, um, so this area, we thought we could improve upon the way that we're able to uh, communicate like the different programs and how, you know, which areas that people are eligible for, what they're interested in a more meaningful way than this table. And so that's what I'm going to show you with is the proposal on what we are considering, and we would like to get your feedback. For one, is this going to be an improvement that will help you with directing individuals towards programs? And then two, if there's any other areas that you could see with, you know, with this update that would be more helpful to you. So instead of having this table here that shows what they're interested in and what they're eligible for, what we are considering is, you know, you have your results. These are the things that make you eligible. And this person is interested in clean energy. They're interested in apprenticeships. And we can put up here, we ask a question about what areas, like if they're interested in solar or weatherization. You know, those are things that we could put down here in this summary if that would be helpful. Um, or if this isn't helpful at all, then that's fine. You can let us know that it's, you know, really not helpful to have it here. Then having an area that says eligible program. So based on how you answered all these questions before, you're eligible for these 4 programs. So this gives you what you're eligible for, interested in. And then you can say, all right, well, let's take a look at the program. So I'm going to select Workforce Hubs. So I select Workforce Hubs, and says that I meet pre-screening requirements and I'm interested in participating. So now I need to select a provider. So one of the areas is one of the suggestion is to have a map here that, you know, you can zoom in on. You can go to different areas. You can click on the pins to say, yep, this one is close, or especially, you know, if you're in the Chicago area, you zoom in and you can see what's closer to you, and you can click on that pin for that provider, and you can see, oh, okay, they have, you know, these types of cohorts that are available, and these are their start dates. And this is an older screenshot, but, you know, this is their capacity, and this is, you know, what they have, you know, that's already in queue for that one. And so you could take a look at that and say, oh, they don't have really any capacity. Let me choose the one that's right next to it. And so you could see their capacity and the different types of programs that they have. And based on, you know, like, okay, great, Mantracon's the one I want. I can click select provider. Once I click select provider, then I can see Mantricon was selected. I could change this if I wanted to, needed to, and then, you can put your pre-screening date and then follow up as needed. So just to kind of get your initial thoughts on going from having this checkbox X's to text of saying you're eligible for these programs, this is your level of interest, and replacing that with a map where you can pick on these different pins and see what types of cohorts they have available or what's upcoming. And again, this I should say that um, my suggestion would be that if you pick on this, it's something that is a planned date that's greater than or equal to today's start date when you're filling this out. So your initial thoughts on those updates. You can either speak it or you can put it in the chat.
Hey, this is Terrence. I got a question. So that website, myro.com,
What's
is that
that?
separate than the Illinois WorkNet?
Mywhat.com?
It was a MIRO. I'm just looking at the
Oh,
web browser
Miro?
at Miro. Yes.
Yeah, it's a Miro board that we used to like do planning and mapping out. Yes.
Okay, so this information you're showing us is in our Illinois WorkNet. We don't need to go to another website.
Right, this is just a mock-up to get your feedback.
Okay, gotcha.
We haven't done it. We haven't done the programming yet, but we wanted to get your feedback before we did the programming, so we make sure we're hitting the mark.
So if it does move forward, it will be on WorkNet if this is what they implement.
I got you. Yeah, thank you. As far as feedback, because everybody's quiet, as far as feedback goes, I think it looks great. And to be able to see the different cohorts and everything else throughout the state, and especially if that's going to be available for both navigators and the hub.
All right, thank you. Looks like Gabriel.
Hi, this is Gabe, Central State Sarah, Northern Region. I had a question. I know I'm sorry, I got in a little late. I had to transfer from another meeting, but the provider section on the checklist one, right? That one's in the past had been confusing for navigators. Is that going to be not in the next one, right? It's just going to be a program selection and a pre-screening result.
Pre-screening and then where you still have to select a provider because we need to know who to send them to, but that's why we're like, well, we're trying to make this more meaningful so that you don't just have like a long list of providers. You can see, where the providers are. You could zoom in on the map to find one that's, closest to you or what makes sense, and then click on it and then see the cohort. So it's like merging the cohort report in with this, the goal is to make it easier for you to find providers that are locally available, and then to be able to click on them to see what their, uh, what their capacity is.
No, I think it's great as once those work plans are done and we could see the capacity. I think it would be a wonderful tool.
And earlier I thought I saw a hand from maybe Nicole. I can't tell if my my order of people changed. Yep, Nicole.
Hi, I just had a general question regarding this. How would this, and I don't know if it would, if participants are being waitlisted, how does that work, as far as them still having possible priority to certain classes?
So I think we need to work out more details as far as the wait list, how that works and how, I mean, we have, like if you have, and David or whoever can correct me if I'm not saying this the right way, but let's say that, you know, you completed the pre-screening, but like there's no one, you know, there's that you didn't have anyone to send him to send somebody to, they didn't have capacity, or there wasn't a provider in um, in the vicinity, so you have them waitlisted. As far as
I got
priority,
confused
I
because
don't
the
know.
reason for cohorts.
What was that? Yeah, as far as like the priority for the waitlisting, I'm not sure how that works. I don't know if you like your overall process is to like check back in with the people who are on the wait list, or they're bumped up, you know, when you check in, or you know whenever availability comes open, you know, is available, or new providers are near you. Like, explain to me a little bit more about like when you have somebody on a wait list, and are you using the term wait list that's in the system that you can, like, instead of having them assigned to a program, they're just assigned to wait list? Is that your situation?
Yeah, I guess what I'm just trying to understand, again, I'm learning and trying to understand in real time, so bear with me if some of the verbiage is off. So you have people who are applying for, say, a Climate Works program, and maybe at that time they have to be waitlisted due to availability. And then at the same time, you have maybe people who are going to the hubs, and maybe they want to also be a part of Climate Works. How do you differentiate, I guess, kind of the priority of that? Would that clash in some way when you have people who are already applying maybe with the actual Climate Works program, or the grantees themselves directly? I guess I'm just trying to see how
Yeah.
does that,
Yeah, you bring up a good point. And we've talked about this. We've talked about this. We have, let's see, do I have another? Trying to look at these. So one of the things that you did provide feedback on, or some folks provided some feedback on, that we are working on, is this notifications tab. Okay, so we have some easy response needed type notifications. That's the easy part of it. And the next part of it that's coming down the pipeline would be the prioritization piece of this. And so we're still working on the business requirements, like all the different things of like what makes a person a priority over, you know, something like, is it like the first come, first serve type situation? So I don't have a specific answer for you yet on identifying the priorities, but that is something that we've been talking about, is identifying those different data pieces that would help us, you know, be able to provide a tool to you to say, overall, who's the next 5? If you need somebody with an EJC only area, you know, who are the next people that are, according to the data that's in the system, would make them the next priority.
Okay, thank you.
But yes, you're not the only person that's had that question. So we're trying to come up with a way to provide that for you as well.
This is Michelle. If I could just make a comment, because we've been dealing with that too. In the
And Michelle, to me, you're real quiet. I don't know if you could get closer to your microphone, or.
Okay, I need to get a better microphone. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. So down in my region, we're just suggesting the navigator and the hub sit down together to identify what that process might look like in their region and put it in their MOU. Just suggestion. I'm not sure whose region you're in, but
Yeah, I'm in the southern region.
oh, then you're in my region.
Yeah, I'm
Nicole,
with Higher
who are
with
you
Higher
in?
360. Higher 360.
Oh, okay. Higher 360. Okay. Um, can talk. We can have, we meet, I meet with Trina. Are you on those calls? I don't recall.
I am. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, great. So we can discuss that at our next check-in.
Okay, great.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it sounds, at least like from a couple people, that this is the overall, you know, this would be helpful. And I can put together like a quick survey what people can respond to. So we get more input. And then what I'll do in that survey is just to say, you know, is it helpful to have like the interest down here? Is it more helpful to have the eligible programs just listed here? You know, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer the, you know, the list or having a map or having it where you could either choose a list or a map? So, all right, I just wanted to give you an overview, appreciate the feedback on that, and we can move on to the next part, which I guess let's open it up to any questions that you may have as far as the CEJA reporting system is concerned that we can help you with. Let me go ahead and get my maybe either test or UAT environment up here. Are there any questions or things that you may need help with? Okay. Well, you can go ahead and enter those in the chat if something comes up as we're going through items. I just want to, sorry, go over the demo that we have today, I believe is on completions. And for some of these people, let's see here. Let me go ahead and pick a more recent person. When you have your customer, we do have when a person has completed their training, you can go into the system under program completion, and we have two areas here. We have add training completion status, and we have program exit status. So when a person has completed their training, what you can do is select this, and you can mark it as complete. And we have this logic set up for, I think it's out on production for ClimateWorks. We added these edit checks. I'm logged in as a hub, and with the hub we have some different completion statuses. So you may have a person that has been placed into a clean energy job prior to completing their bridge training. So if that's the case, you can select that option, and the system's going to do some edit checks to say, you know, the train services have been closed, but in this case, I don't have a bridge train with unsuccessful completion, so I can't use that option. It says I do have a clean energy job. Or let's say that the person has completed the bridge, but they were placed before they had job-specific training. So in this case, you can see it meets all the criteria. Training services have been closed. Bridge has a status of successful completion because remember, I did the bridge, but I didn't finish job-specific. And so you can see that it's either not included or I don't have, or I have it in there as unsuccessful completion. And then the system says I do have a clean energy job transition outcome in here. So I could put in my completion date, and I can put in a exit interview questionnaire if I want to upload that for the record, and hit save, and then I could mark my person as complete. I'm just going to show you the third option is to say that they have both a successful bridge and a successful job-specific training. And in this case, I don't have the successful job completion. I'm sorry, I don't have a successfully completed job-specific training. So it's telling me that I would need to add that. One of the other more recent updates that we have is to have this checkbox here that says, for the Workforce Hub program, at least 10% of the curriculum hours should be work-based learning activities. Has this person completed the 10% requirement? If you say yes, and if I have my work-based learning, and it does these edit checks. So if I don't have what I need in the system, it's going to tell me what I need to add for that specific completion type. So that is for if I select that they've completed. Similarly, if I choose like withdraw, I can put in a withdraw date, I can put in a withdrawal reason, and an exit interview, and ultimately it's going to check to make sure that I have all the training services completed, and then I can move forward and mark this person as withdrawn. So this section right here is to indicate that the person has completed their training. They can still receive like transition type services after they've completed the training. So again, this indicates completing training. They can receive those additional services, but once they are finished receiving services, then you can mark them as exited. And so then it'll say like exit with follow-up. And you can also enter in transition outcomes. We have transition outcomes for apprenticeship. Is it clean energy? Yes or no? Union or non-union? Is it a DOL registered apprenticeship? If it is, what's the Rapids ID? What's the program name?
I just have a quick question about the exiting a student.
Mhm.
Can you review exit with follow-up versus exit without follow-up?
Yeah, so and any of the RAs, correct me if I'm again not saying this correctly, but whenever you put a person as exited, let's just go ahead and let me choose a person that's already exited. Let's try this person. So exited with follow-up, they're going to, whenever you select this date, I think it goes out and it says the next follow-up date. I think it's like 30 days after you have, you know, when you exit them, you're supposed to check up like every 30 days and then looks like every 3 months and so forth. So they're going to default to exit with follow-up. If you want, if a person no longer wishes to receive that, you can go up to this follow-up services area and then marked, David covered it earlier with the, oh, I forget the term that's used. David, what's the term that's used? Like, oh, I have to go to it.
Opted out.
Yeah, it's like an opted, yes, basically the opted out, and then they'll be marked as exited and without follow-up. I can go here.
Okay, so I think I just want to confirm the definitions. So if someone is exited without a or with a follow-up, exited means they're no longer receiving any services. So no case management, no transition services, nothing. But yet the case manager or whoever is still like reaching out to them.
Yes, that is my understanding. Michelle or anyone,
Yeah,
you can.
yeah. So the whole idea around that is you're required to do follow up to see, check on them to see where they're at, how are things going, did they get a job, do they need anything? The point of the opt out is, we all know in reality, sometimes people are just going to say, "I'm good, leave me alone," you know, and but everybody should really have follow up conducted when they're finished with the program. But please, anybody chime in if you have something to add. I don't know if any of my
I think it's
Diana,
I
sorry.
think it's the exiting thing that's throwing me off because I don't really see a lot of my graduates choosing to not receive services, but also wanting follow up from us. So, like, I think most of our graduates would be not exited, right? Like, they still want case management, they want the, barrier reductions, they want
Yeah.
assistance with placement, and we're
Yeah.
following up. So I think it's just like an interesting category to me of like someone who would potentially refuse like barrier reduction services, but still also wants us to check in.
So
Does that happen for people?
Yeah, so I think that what could happen is, yes, you don't want to exit them if they're still receiving any type of services like barrier reduction, especially any services with a cost or transition services. You don't want to exit them until they're completed with the program. But even when they're completed, you still want to check in to see how things are going. Did they get the job they needed or they wanted? Are they still on the job after 6 months? Does that make sense? When they're exited, they're done with the program.
So exited would be they're refusing and don't want barrier reduction services or case management, or it's 12 months after graduation. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Because they
Thank
don't.
you. That's really helpful.
I believe so. I don't know, Nate, Larry, if I want to make sure I'm saying it correctly and that it's not confusing. Most likely, they're not going to be exited. For instance, they may have a job and they may be done. As far as they're concerned, they may say, "No, I'm good. Don't anticipate needing any additional services."
Yeah, I think that's right. So, they get a job, they're not receiving any additional barrier reduction services, but we still have their required follow-up check-ins with them. So even though they may not be receiving transitional or barrier reduction services, we still want to connect with them at those required intervals, the 30 days, and what Natasha's got on the screen here: 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And so even though they may not be receiving barrier reduction services, we still have to do those follow-up check-ins. And so the presumption is that you're following up with them at those periods. But if during the 9-month check-in they say, okay, please stop calling me, then I think that's where they become exited without follow-up.
And also, just to be clear, Diana put in there follow-up for participants is up to 1 year. So early on, I think we put the 2 and 3 years in there, but
Well, and that's subject to depending on the program. So returning residents, for those on the call from that program, we all know there's more long-term follow-up that is required. So I want to be careful with this because I don't want anybody to, if you're misunderstanding, then you have the potential to mark participants who should be receiving follow-up as exited, and then we won't have that data in our system. So just be careful. You have questions on definitions, follow up with the RA to make sure that you're in alignment with DCO expectations.
thank you. Any questions before I continue on with the transition outcomes? If you do, please feel free to go ahead and put them in the chat. Okay, so we have apprenticeship, we have job placement. Again, is this in the clean energy industry, temporary, transition job? Do they receive fringe benefits? Especially this top one, is it in the clean energy or construction building trades? This is important because it does impact, how you mark those successful completions, because they'll need to be in the clean energy industry if they're placed prior to completing the training, all the training. Also, this does, depending on the program, impacts where, the counts fall on your plan versus actual report. And so you can enter the employer information, hit save. You can add in additional jobs as they come up if needed. Oops, I really mean to close that out. We have an area for other training. Also, this is what we consider advanced training. Again, is it in clean industry? What type of training? The program name, provider, address. Sorry. And with this, you can mark these as, after you add the training, you can put it in there. The person is, enrolled, and you can put a date, save it. You can put it in like, either they completed or they graduated, or maybe they're still in training after 12 months. You can put those, select any of these statuses, put a date here, and as you save it, it'll add these statuses down here. So it keeps a record of what the person's status is with this particular training program. And then we have an area for open to small business. And you can say yes or no for the clean energy, the type of business, or I'm sorry, state of the business, steady, declining, growing, the name of the business, all this kind of good stuff, and save that. And then we have the joined entrepreneurial program. Is this a CEJA program? If it is, select the CEJA program. This is something we're in the process of adding a couple of, or the contract incubator program. And so we'll go ahead and hook those two programs up. So when you select a CEJA program, you can select that contractor incubator program. For now, we have, you can put in the other program information. And those are the transition outcomes area. On this page, you can also see if they've earned credentials, and you can enter in success stories from this area as well for this individual. So does anybody have any questions related to any of the items on this page? Or any other questions that you may need assistance with? Let's see. Yep. Savannah?
Yes. Hi, Natasha.
Hi.
So on that completion status, I know we have those 10 hours that we have to answer yes or no form. And I know it's required to put in a work-based learning, but is there a way to sort of go around that for Climate Works, just because we have other options to do hands-on learning?
We're going to have to, Natasha, I think we're probably going to talk about that tomorrow.
Okay.
Our status calls, because I don't think it's just Climate Works either. I think a number of our grantees are doing some of the like job site tours, guest speakers, some of those items that fall under the career pathways definition, but may not be fitting within kind of the new work-based learning policy that we're kind of aligning the system around for the next cycle. So we may need to talk about that one.
All right, we'll add that to the list.
Thank you.
All right, any other items? Let's see, I'm not sure if Larry, Nate, Michelle, Diana, are there any other points that you would like to discuss?
None for me, thanks.
Yeah, no, I don't have any.
All right. Well, if we don't have anything else, we'll let you have 10 minutes back. So, well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.